The stars stretched endlessly across the void, a glittering sea of light where only the strongest dared to sail. On the command bridge of the starship Zirath, Zyra, the fleet commander, leaned forward over the holographic display. Her long silver fingers tapped lightly on the interface, shifting planets, ships, and drifting anomalies in the holographic field. She glanced around her officers with a faint smirk. "Human warriors," she said softly, almost to herself. "What a laughable notion." Her voice carried easily across the bridge. Her officers, a mixture of alien species from across the quadrant, chuckled quietly. Zira's reputation as a fearless leader preceded her. She did not need approval. Yet she enjoyed the small moments when others joined in her amusement. "Reports from the outer sectors indicate one human vessel," said Lieutenant Corin, a stocky four-armed engineer tapping on his console. "It is moving alone, Captain. Unarmed, seemingly. Insignificant." Zira leaned back in her chair, her long feathered tail curling around the base of her seat. "Insignificant indeed," she said. "Humans have survived for millennia on a single fragile world, barely capable of leaving their system. They are myths, legends at best. None have ever faced a real fleet and returned. None." She paused, scanning the bridge, her bright violet eyes catching the light from the holograms. "And yet," she said slowly, "they speak as if humans are warriors, brave, dangerous, clever. Tell me, Corin, have you ever met a human in battle?" Corin shook his head. "Only in historical archives, Commander. All records suggest they are weaker than even the smallest species we encounter." "Exactly," Zara said, leaning forward with a sharp grin. "A tiny, fragile species claiming to be warriors. How amusing." The bridge echoed with laughter again. Zyra enjoyed seeing the confidence in her crew. They believed as she did. No human could challenge them. Yet somewhere deep in her mind, a faint curiosity stirred. What if the stories had more truth than anyone dared admit? She pushed the thought aside quickly. Legends were just that, stories. Humans were weak. That was the truth she had known for decades. Outside, the starfield shimmered like scattered diamonds. Zyra's fleet, the Zirath Armada, spanned hundreds of ships, all armed with advanced weapons capable of disintegrating entire planets. Their mission was clear: patrol the outer rim, eliminate threats, and maintain order in the quadrant. A sudden alert pinged across the bridge. Lieutenant Corin's fingers moved rapidly across the console, and the hologram zoomed in on the anomaly. A tiny ship, barely visible among the stars, moved steadily toward the inner sectors. "Curious," Zira said, tilting her head. "A human vessel. All alone." The bridge fell silent. Even the low hum of the ship seemed to pause. Zira's officers exchanged cautious glances. None spoke. They waited for her command. "Send a sensor sweep," Zira ordered. "I want every detail of that ship. Who commands it? What weapons does it carry? And how fast can it move?" Lieutenant Corin's fingers danced over the holographic controls. "Sensors indicate a standard human starship," he reported. "Weapons minimal, energy shields primitive. Captain, it is moving at a steady course, but it is not evading us." Zyra raised a brow. "Not evading? How bold or foolish. Either the human is completely unaware of our presence or it has a plan. Perhaps the legends are true." The thought made her smile. A human with courage, or recklessness. Either way, she was eager to see. "Prepare a squadron," she ordered. "We will intercept and observe." "I want no damage to the vessel unless necessary. Let's see what this human can do." Her officers obeyed immediately, the holographic display filling with small fighter ships moving to surround the lone human vessel. Zyra's mind raced with possibilities. She had faced countless species, each claiming strength, courage, or intelligence, and each had failed before her fleet. Why should this human be any different? Hours passed as the Zirath Armada drew closer. Zira watched the human ship move with quiet determination. There was no panic, no hesitation. Every maneuver seemed deliberate, careful, yet oddly confident. "Unbelievable," muttered Lieutenant Corin. "The human. It moves as if it belongs among the stars, not just survives." Zira ignored the comment, though a tiny part of her felt a strange twinge of interest. Could it be? Could one human alone move with such control and precision? She pushed the thought aside. It was likely luck, skill, or some advanced technology. Nothing more. As the distance closed, Zira decided to make her presence known. She activated the communications array. A shimmering beam of light projected from the bridge, reaching across the vast darkness toward the human ship. "This is Commander Zyra of the Zerath Armada," she announced. Her voice carried authority and amusement. "You are in forbidden space. Identify yourself immediately." The human ship slowed slightly. Then a clear response came. "This is Captain Eli Mercer of the Earth vessel Resolute," the voice said. "Calm, confident, human. I mean no harm. I am conducting a survey of the outer sectors." Zyra's lips curved into a small, sharp smile. "A survey alone? Do you understand the danger you face, human?" "I do," Eli replied without hesitation. "But I also understand my mission." Zyra blinked. Not with surprise. She had seen countless beings speak with courage, but with curiosity. The voice carried a weight she could not ignore. There was no fear, no trembling, only resolve. "Bold," she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. "Extremely bold." Her officers exchanged glances. One of them, an alien navigator named Threll, whispered, "Commander, this human, it speaks as if it belongs among the stars. Perhaps the legends were not entirely wrong." Zyra's tail flicked, a sign of mild irritation mixed with intrigue. "Legends are not facts," she said sharply. "Yet, perhaps it is time to see for ourselves." She leaned forward. "Prepare a visual scan. I want to see the human, every detail." The hologram flickered, then displayed the vessel. Small, unassuming, yet streamlined, efficient, and remarkably intact. It had survived deep space travel, the debris fields, and unknown hazards, alone. Zyra's eyes narrowed. "Interesting," she said. "The human is not just moving, it is surviving. Against all odds, it continues forward." For hours, Zyra observed. Every maneuver of the human ship was precise. Every obstacle avoided with ingenuity. The fleet around her moved like a shadow, containing the human without confrontation. Still, the human evaded, not with speed or firepower, but with cleverness. Zyra could feel the first stirrings of respect growing, though she would not admit it aloud. Humans, she realized, had something that many species lacked: creativity under pressure, resilience in impossible conditions, and courage beyond expectation. Yet she reminded herself of the fleet's power. "A single human cannot defeat us," she said quietly. "Legends or not, one human is still one human." She ordered the fleet to maintain its course surrounding the human vessel while allowing it freedom of movement. She wanted to study it, to test it, to see if this tiny being could possibly rise above what everyone assumed was inevitable failure. Hours turned into a full rotation of their sector, and the human vessel continued its silent, unwavering journey. Zyra's initial amusement shifted into a fascination she had never expected. A thought crossed her mind. A dangerous one, she reminded herself. Could this human truly be a warrior? The idea was absurd. She laughed softly, shaking her head. Yet in that laughter, a spark of curiosity burned. The galaxy had taught her many lessons. Never underestimate intelligence, never overlook courage, and never assume a species' weakness guarantees victory. But humans? They were supposed to be weak, small, fragile, laughable. And yet, this one human, Eli Mercer, moved among the stars with a confidence that defied her understanding. The stars stretched endlessly, as silent and infinite as the questions now forming in Zyra's mind. Could one human so small and fragile rise to meet the challenges that even her mighty fleet could barely control? Only time would tell. And Zyra, for the first time in her career, felt a thrill not from victory, but from the possibility of being proven wrong. As the Zerath Armada maintained its silent pursuit, Zyra's laughter faded into thoughtful silence. Somewhere in the dark, beyond the reach of her sensors, a human warrior sailed onward, unaware of the attention it had drawn. And in that darkness, the galaxy seemed suddenly more interesting than she had ever imagined. The human ship Resolute glided silently through the void, a tiny silhouette against the vast galaxy. Captain Eli Mercer's hands rested lightly on the controls, guiding the vessel with calm precision. He had seen the readings from the alien fleet long before they became visible, yet he showed no fear. To him, space was a puzzle, and every obstacle was a challenge to solve. "Sensors indicate a large fleet approaching," reported Mara, his second in command, her voice steady but slightly tense. "Unidentified advanced technology. They appear to be surrounding us." Eli nodded, his gaze fixed on the holographic display. The fleet was enormous, Hundreds of ships spread across the starfield, their dark hulls gleaming with a strange silvery light. To most beings, the sight would have caused panic. Not to him. They are fast but predictable, Eli said. Let's see how clever they really are. Mara blinked.
You are calm.
Almost too calm. Captain, this is an entire fleet. We are alone. Eli smiled faintly. Alone does not mean powerless. He tapped the console, sending the Resolute into a series of sudden maneuvers. The ship twisted and turned, darting between asteroids and debris clouds, making the fleet's sensor readings struggle to keep up. On the bridge of the Zerath, Zyra observed everything. Her violet eyes narrowed as the human ship moved. Every turn was calculated, every evasive action precise. She had expected panic, fear, or mistakes, but none came. Instead, she saw intelligence and calm, almost unnerving in its certainty. Impressive, she muttered under her breath. But it is only one ship. One human. It cannot last long. Yet the longer she watched, the more her confidence wavered. The human ship avoided capture effortlessly, moving in patterns that defied conventional tactics. Zyra leaned forward, studying the display as if trying to unravel a complex puzzle. Captain Eli Mercer, she said aloud, almost as if saying his name could reveal his secrets. Let's see what you are truly capable of. She issued a command, and several fighter squadrons launched silently from the fleet. They moved like shadows, converging toward the human vessel. Each fighter was sleek and powerful, armed with advanced weaponry designed to disable ships far larger than the Resolute. The human ship twisted, dodged, and spun through the void with startling agility. Each maneuver was clever, taking advantage of the smallest gaps in the alien formation. The fighters adjusted, yet Eli always seemed one step ahead. On the bridge of the Zerath, Zyra's initial amusement had turned into fascination. She had laughed at the idea of human warriors, yet here she was, watching one outmaneuver an entire squadron. Fascinating, she said quietly. The human, it thinks differently. Unpredictable, creative. Her officers whispered among themselves, noting the skill and precision displayed by the small ship. They had faced many species, but none had shown this level of adaptability under pressure. Zyra's smirk had disappeared, replaced by focused attention. Meanwhile, on the Resolute, Eli guided the ship calmly through the engagement. He had studied alien tactics extensively, understanding their movements and anticipating their strategies. His mind worked like a machine, calculating angles, speed, and timing with almost instinctive precision. Keep calm, he instructed his crew. Do not let them see panic. Focus on their patterns, not their numbers. Mara and the others followed his instructions perfectly. Each crew member knew their role, moving in harmony with the ship. The Resolute was small and lightly armed, but it had something far more powerful: human ingenuity. Back on the Zerath, Zyra's curiosity grew with each passing minute. She had studied thousands of species, each claiming bravery or skill. Yet this human displayed qualities she had rarely encountered: confidence without arrogance, intelligence without hesitation, and courage that did not falter even under overwhelming odds. Deploy the capture field, she ordered. Do not harm the vessel. I want to see how it reacts under controlled conditions. A shimmering net of energy extended toward the Resolute, designed to immobilize ships instantly. Many species would panic or fail, but Eli reacted calmly. He adjusted the ship's trajectory, using the gravitational pull of a nearby asteroid to slip past the edge of the field. Excellent, he muttered. Just as expected, the alien officers on the Zerath were stunned. None had predicted that a single human ship could escape a capture field without any damage. Whispers spread across the bridge. How is this possible? One officer asked. Zyra's tail flicked sharply. Focus, she said sharply. We are not defeated yet. Observe, learn, but do not underestimate. She leaned closer to the holographic display, fascinated. The human ship was small, almost insignificant compared to the massive fleet. Yet it moved with an elegance and precision that made the larger ships seem clumsy. Every maneuver was purposeful, designed to exploit weaknesses, avoid danger, and continue forward without error. Hours passed in this delicate dance. The human ship continued its journey, testing the patience and skills of the alien fleet. Each attempt to intercept or control the vessel failed, not due to luck or technology, but because of the human mind behind it. Zyra realized something important. Humans were not warriors in the traditional sense. They did not rely on raw strength, size, or overwhelming firepower. Instead, they used creativity, intelligence, and adaptability to turn disadvantages into opportunities. Her laughter from earlier, mocking the legends of human warriors, had long disappeared. She found herself thinking about the possibilities of what humans could do if properly trained and united. One human alone had managed to challenge her fleet without even attempting direct confrontation. "Prepare a communication link," she finally ordered. "I want to speak with this human directly." A shimmering beam of light projected across the void, reaching the Resolute. Eli watched it calmly, as if he had expected this moment. He opened the communication channel. "This is Captain Eli Mercer of the Earth vessel Resolute," he said, his voice steady. "You have surrounded us. I wish to understand your intentions." Zira leaned forward, studying him through the sensors. "I am Commander Zyra of the Zereth Armada," she replied, her tone a mixture of curiosity and authority. "Why are you here, human? What do you hope to accomplish, alone and unarmed in our sector?" "I am exploring," Eli answered honestly. "My mission is to observe and learn. I do not seek conflict, but I will defend myself if necessary." Zira tilted her head. "Courageous or reckless? Most species would surrender immediately under such pressure. Yet you do not." "I understand the risk," Eli replied, "but I also understand my capabilities and the intelligence of my crew." "We are prepared." There was a pause. Zira studied him, her mind racing. She had expected fear, desperation, or panic. None had appeared. This human had confidence, skill, and the calm determination of someone who could survive impossible odds. "Interesting," Zyra said quietly. "Very interesting." Her officers, sensing the change in her tone, watched closely. Zyra rarely expressed genuine curiosity, let alone admiration. Yet here in the dark void of space, she found herself captivated by a single human vessel. "Captain Mercer," she continued, "you have managed to survive longer than I expected. Your tactics are unconventional but effective. Tell me, how do you move with such precision against overwhelming numbers?" Eli smiled faintly. "We do not fight like you," he said. "We do not rely on strength alone. We adapt, we learn, and we use our minds. Every challenge is a problem to solve, not just a battle to win." Zira considered his words carefully. She had studied countless species, and many had failed because they underestimated the importance of intelligence over force. Yet humans seemed to embody that principle naturally. Her tail flicked again, this time with something like approval. "Perhaps I laughed too soon," she said softly. "Perhaps the legends of human warriors were not entirely wrong." Eli watched her through the sensors, understanding the unspoken respect forming across the void. He did not seek admiration, yet he knew that a single human had captured the attention of one of the galaxy's most powerful commanders. The stars stretched endlessly around them, a silent witness to the encounter. A small human ship and a massive alien fleet, locked in a dance of curiosity, skill, and intelligence. Neither had struck a blow, yet both had learned something important about the other. Zira's eyes glimmered as she leaned back in her chair. The human had proven that bravery was not measured by size or firepower, but by creativity, courage, and the will to continue forward despite overwhelming odds. For the first time in her life, Zira realized that a human might be more than just a legend. They might be something extraordinary, and somewhere in the void, Captain Eli Mercer guided his ship with calm determination, unaware that he had already begun to change the way the galaxy would view humans forever. The void stretched endlessly, cold and silent, yet charged with tension. Zyra sat in her command chair, watching the human vessel Resolute move with precision and calm she had never before seen. Every moment spent observing Eli Mercer revealed more about his intelligence and courage. She had laughed at the notion of human warriors. Now she found herself questioning everything she had believed. One human, small, fragile, unarmed, had maneuvered through her fleet with skill and calm that rivaled the best pilots she had ever commanded. "Prepare a simulation," Zira ordered, her voice steady but her heart quickened with anticipation. "I want to see the limits of this human's abilities." The officers on the bridge obeyed immediately. A large holographic sphere appeared, filling the center of the bridge with a three-dimensional battlefield. Ships, asteroids, energy fields, and drones floated within it, representing every obstacle the human might face in real combat. Eli, aboard the Resolute, noticed a sudden shift in the fleet's behavior. Sensors detected the holographic energy field forming around his ship, encompassing the nearby sectors. Mara glanced at him nervously. "Captain, I'm detecting some kind of simulation. They've contained us in a controlled zone." Eli's lips curved into a faint smile. "It is a test," he said calmly. "We do not fight blindly. We adapt." Zyra's voice came across the communications link, clear and commanding. "Human, this is a test. Your skill, your intellect, and your creativity will be examined. Show us what you can do." Eli studied the simulated battlefield on his display. Asteroids, energy grids, and enemy vessels shifted around him. The test was designed to overwhelm, to trap, and to confuse. Many species would panic under these conditions. Eli, however, considered the challenge. Each obstacle was a problem to solve, and he began to plan. "Crew," he said calmly. "Observe, calculate, and respond. Every movement matters. We are not only surviving, we are learning." The Resolute began to move, weaving through the holographic dangers. Energy grids pulsed around them. Lasers fired from simulated drones, and asteroid fields shifted unpredictably. Each step required precise timing and careful decision-making. Yet Eli guided the ship with a natural grace that surprised even his own crew. On the bridge of the Zerath, Zira's eyes widened. She had expected panic, hesitation, perhaps even failure. Instead, she watched a single human navigate the simulated battlefield with brilliance. Every move was deliberate, every decision clever, remarkable, she whispered. The human does not simply react. It anticipates. Her officers leaned closer, studying the displays. Lieutenant Corrin muttered, "I have never seen this level of coordination. One human, one ship, and yet it controls the battlefield more effectively than many fleets I have commanded." Zyra's tail flicked sharply. "Indeed, observe carefully. Learn, yes, but do not underestimate. This is extraordinary." Back in the simulation, Eli identified the first challenge, a narrow corridor of moving asteroids designed to trap the ship. He calculated the timing, velocity, and trajectory, guiding the Resolute through the chaotic path. Every crew member acted in perfect harmony, adjusting shields, energy outputs, and engine thrust to navigate safely. The fleet of drones responded, attempting to intercept, but Eli had already anticipated their movements. Using small bursts of energy and subtle changes in direction, the Resolute avoided every attack without directly confronting the drones. "Captain," Mara said, "they are adjusting faster than expected. Each move we make seems predicted. That is why we do not move predictably," Eli replied calmly. "Strength is not in force alone. It is in observation, intelligence, and timing." Zyra watched intently as the human demonstrated another skill, improvisation. A new obstacle appeared suddenly, an energy net designed to trap the vessel instantly. Eli's eyes scanned the field, calculating angles and velocities in moments. He directed the ship toward a cluster of small debris, using the reflection of the energy net to slip through an opening that the drones had assumed was impossible. "Unbelievable," Zyra muttered, leaning forward. "Not by strength, but by cleverness. And courage." The simulation continued, increasing in complexity. Energy fields shifted, asteroids rotated unpredictably, and drone squadrons multiplied. Many species would have been overwhelmed, but Eli adapted continuously. He observed patterns, predicted movements, and used the environment creatively. "Notice how he uses his surroundings," Zyra said to herself. "Humans, they do not see obstacles, they see possibilities." Eli's calm demeanor never faltered. He coordinated his crew with quiet authority, guiding them through impossible paths with precision and care. Each success built upon the previous, teaching him more about the simulated fleet's behavior. On the Zerath, Zyra could not help but feel a growing respect. She had assumed humans were weak, fragile, and unremarkable. Yet here was proof to the contrary. One human, using intelligence, creativity, and determination, had turned what should have been a trap into a stage for brilliance. "Prepare the next phase," she commanded, her voice betraying a hint of excitement. "Let's see how far this human can go." Suddenly, the simulation shifted. Energy storms appeared, randomly altering the battlefield. Gravity wells pulled ships off course. New drone squadrons attacked with unpredictable patterns. Many would panic under such circumstances. Eli, however, smiled faintly. "Adaptation is key," he said calmly. "We learn, we move, we survive." With a series of precise adjustments, he guided the Resolute through the chaos. Crew members adjusted shields, rerouted power, and maneuvered the ship with extraordinary coordination. Every problem the simulation threw at them was met with calm intelligence, not fear. Zira's hands rested on the edge of the command console. She had watched thousands of species attempt simulations and tests of skill. Most failed. Some succeeded by luck or brute force. Yet Eli Mercer, a single human, demonstrated creativity, intelligence, and leadership far beyond what she had imagined possible. "Observe how he teaches his crew," she said softly, "not through fear, but through confidence. Every movement is deliberate yet flexible. He adapts constantly. This is rare." Hours passed in this intricate test. The human maneuvered through every obstacle, neutralized every threat, and demonstrated strategic brilliance. Zira realized that humans were not warriors in the traditional sense. They did not rely on size, strength, or overwhelming firepower. Instead, they used intelligence, creativity, and teamwork to accomplish what seemed impossible. Finally, the simulation ended. The holographic battlefield dissolved, leaving only the stars outside the Zerath. Eli's crew breathed a collective sigh of relief, yet their faces were calm, confident, and ready for the next challenge. Zira remained silent for a moment, absorbing what she had witnessed. One human alone had mastered a challenge designed to test her fleet's strategy. One human had proven that ingenuity and courage could overcome overwhelming odds. "You are extraordinary," she said softly, almost to herself. "Perhaps I have underestimated your kind, perhaps." "I have been wrong to laugh." Her officers glanced at her in surprise. They had never seen Zira admit admiration so openly, yet she did not stop there. She began to formulate plans, ideas, and possibilities. Could humans be more than myths? Could they be true allies or even equals in the galaxy's challenges? Eli, unaware of the full extent of Zira's thoughts, continued preparing his ship for the next mission. He had proven skill, yes, but he did not seek praise. For him, the test was not about recognition. It was about survival, learning, and adapting to challenges. Zira, however, could not look away. She had seen the spark of something extraordinary. Courage, intelligence, and creativity distilled into one small human vessel. The legends had spoken of human warriors, and now she understood why. "They are more than I imagined," she said quietly, a rare smile touching her lips. "They are remarkable." The stars stretched silently around them as though acknowledging the shift in the galaxy's perception. One human had shown that even the smallest, most underestimated beings could rise to incredible heights. And Zira, for the first time, felt the thrill of anticipation, the curiosity to see just how far this human could go. The test was over, but the challenge had only begun. Zira had learned a lesson that would shape her thoughts, her fleet, and perhaps the future of the galaxy. Never underestimate the courage and ingenuity of a human. And somewhere aboard the Resolute, Captain Eli Mercer prepared for the unknown, unaware that his brilliance had already begun to change the way one of the galaxy's greatest commanders viewed humanity forever. The void was alive with the faint hum of distant stars, yet the darkness carried a tension that could be felt aboard every ship in Zira's fleet. Reports had come in. A massive wave of hostile drones was approaching the nearby inhabited planet of Lumeris. The fleet would be hard-pressed to stop them alone. Zira sat in her command chair, scanning the sensor readings. Hundreds of drones moved like shadows, consuming matter in their path, their intentions cold and methodical. She had fought countless battles, faced countless species, but something about this threat felt different. Calculated. Relentless. "Commander," Lieutenant Corrin said, tapping on the console nervously. "These drones are advancing faster than expected. We may not be able to hold them back alone." Zira's violet eyes narrowed. "Then perhaps it is time to reconsider our approach." Her thoughts drifted to the human vessel still nearby, the Resolute. Captain Eli Mercer had proven himself in the simulation, showing a level of intelligence and courage that few species could match. If there was ever a moment to reconsider old prejudices, it was now. "Open a secure channel," Zira ordered. "I want to speak with Captain Mercer." A holographic link established immediately, displaying Eli's calm face against the backdrop of the Resolute. Mara, his second-in-command, stood at his side, ready to relay information. "Captain Mercer," Zira began, her tone serious, I am Commander Zira of the Zerath Armada. A threat approaches the planet Lumeris. My fleet alone may not be able to stop it. I wish to propose an alliance. Eli's expression remained calm, but his eyes narrowed slightly, measuring the situation. An alliance, he repeated. Explain your terms. Temporary, Zira said. We work together to neutralize the drones. Once the threat is eliminated, each of our forces will return to their respective missions. I want your intelligence and adaptability, human. I believe it will complement our strength. Eli considered her words carefully. Alliances were complicated even when temporary. Trust was earned, not given, yet he also recognized the scale of the threat. Hundreds of drones could devastate the planet in hours if not confronted. We agree, he said finally. Humans in your fleet will work together, but we must coordinate fully. Half measures will not save the planet. Zara inclined her head. Agreed. You will guide us in tactics you deem effective. I will trust your judgment, Captain Mercer. Let us begin immediately. The human-alien alliance began to form, the tension between them giving way to cautious cooperation. Eli's calm demeanor and strategic mind became the center of the plan, while Zira's fleet provided the strength and firepower necessary to hold the drones at bay. Eli studied the battlefield on his displays. The drones moved in predictable swarms, their behavior systematic but rigid. He quickly identified weak points, patterns in their movement that could be exploited. Divide the fleet into 3 groups, he instructed. 1 will draw attention, 1 will protect key areas of the planet, and the last will follow my lead to disable the core of the drone swarm. Timing is crucial. We must strike as one. Zira watched him with a mixture of fascination and respect. One human, giving commands to an entire alien fleet, coordinating their movements with a calm authority that rivaled even her own. She felt a rare stir of pride, not for herself, but for humanity. Your plan is unconventional, she said, but I see its merit. We will follow your guidance. The fleets moved into position. The drones, unaware of the human-alien coordination, continued their advance toward Lumeris. The planet's surface glowed faintly beneath them, cities and fields unprotected yet waiting for salvation. Now, Eli said calmly, execute on my mark. A sequence of maneuvers began that would have been impossible for most commanders to envision. The first group of alien ships drew the drones into an ambush, their movements fast and unpredictable. The second group, under Zira's direct control, protected the planet's critical areas, using energy shields and tactical positioning to minimize damage. The Resolute moved like a single entity within the chaos, Eli guiding the third group to the heart of the drone swarm. Each maneuver was precise, deliberate, and unpredictable. The drones, designed to overwhelm with brute force, faltered under the human-led strategy. Zira's eyes widened as she watched. Incredible, she muttered.
They adapt.
They predict, and they strike with intelligence. The fleet followed Eli's instructions perfectly, each alien captain adjusting their tactics in real time. Zira felt a sense of awe mixed with relief. This was the first time she had seen humans not only survive, but lead a complex operation against overwhelming odds. As the drones reached the inner layers of the ambush, Eli executed the final phase. Using a combination of gravitational manipulation and precise energy bursts, he directed the swarm into a containment zone where Zira's ships could neutralize them safely. Every movement was calculated, every action measured to minimize risk to both planet and fleet. The last of the drones fell, deactivated or captured, their metallic shells drifting silently in space. The planet below was safe. A silence filled the void. Zira leaned back in her chair, her tail curling thoughtfully around the base of her seat. Remarkable, she said quietly. A single human has guided us to victory. Eli's calm face appeared on the holographic display. It was a combined effort, he said modestly. The fleet provided the strength. My crew and I contributed strategy. Together we succeeded. Zira smiled faintly, a rare gesture. Humans, they are extraordinary. Not because of strength, but because of courage, intelligence, and ingenuity. I see now why the legends speak of human warriors. Her officers, sensing the shift in her demeanor, watched in silence. Zira rarely praised others, but here, in the aftermath of a tremendous challenge, she acknowledged a truth she had long denied. Humans were remarkable, even by her standards. Captain Mercer, she said, her tone more personal now. Your actions have changed the way I view your species. Humans are not weak nor fragile. They are resilient, clever, and brave. I am honored to have witnessed it firsthand. Eli nodded calmly. Respect is earned through action, Commander Zira. I did not seek your admiration, but I accept it nonetheless. Zira allowed herself a small laugh, a sound rare on her command bridge. The human had not only survived but inspired her, challenging her assumptions and opening her mind to possibilities she had never considered. As the fleets regrouped and repaired, Zira reflected on the events. The alliance, though temporary, had shown her the potential of humans. She realized that this species, so often underestimated, could rise to any challenge with the right guidance, courage, and teamwork. For Eli and his crew, the success of the mission was not about recognition or praise. It was about proving that even the smallest, most underestimated beings could make a difference in the galaxy, and yet, they could sense the growing respect from Zira, a commander whose opinion carried immense weight. This alliance, it may have lasting effects, Zira thought quietly. If humans are capable of this as individuals, imagine what they could achieve united with other species. The Resolute continued to drift near the fleet, ready to respond to any new threats. Eli's calm presence reassured the alien commanders, showing them that strategy, intelligence, and courage could overcome even the most overwhelming odds. Zira stood and walked to the observation deck, looking out at the stars. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, yet she felt a new sense of hope. Humans, she realized, were more than legends. They were allies, leaders, and perhaps one day, the galaxy's greatest champions. Perhaps it is time, she said quietly, to reconsider everything we know about humanity. The stars stretched endlessly before her, silent witnesses to the new understanding forming in her mind. One human had emerged from the darkness not with brute force but with ingenuity, courage, and calm intelligence. That human had changed her perception, the perception of her fleet, and perhaps the perception of the galaxy itself. And somewhere aboard the Resolute, Eli Mercer prepared for the future, unaware that his actions had already begun to reshape the galaxy's understanding of humans forever. The alliance, though born of necessity, had proven a truth that no simulation or legend could convey. Humans were extraordinary, not because they were the strongest, but because they could rise to meet any challenge, adapt to the impossible, and inspire those who witnessed them. As Zira returned to her command chair, she knew one thing with certainty. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again, and she would ensure that their courage and intelligence would be remembered, respected, and perhaps even admired for now. Though the fleets rested, planets were safe, and one human had earned the attention of one of the galaxy's greatest commanders. The future was uncertain, but one truth was clear. Humans could achieve the extraordinary when guided by intelligence, courage, and determination. The void stretched endlessly, a canvas of blackened stars, as Zira's fleet and the human ship Resolute prepared for the ultimate confrontation. Reports indicated the hostile drone swarm was regrouping near a volatile asteroid field, moving toward the inhabited planet Lumeris once more. This time the threat was greater, faster, and more organized. Zira stood on the command bridge of the Zirath, her eyes scanning the readouts with intense focus. Her violet gaze flickered between the approaching swarm and the lone human vessel beside her fleet. Eli Mercer had proven his skill in simulations and the first encounter, but this challenge would test both humans and aliens in ways they had never faced before. "Captain Mercer," Zira said through the communication channel, her tone steady but edged with anticipation. "This will be the true test. The drones have adapted since our last engagement. They will exploit weaknesses, not just attack blindly. Can your strategy hold?" Eli's calm face appeared on the display. "We will adapt," he said simply. "We survived the first wave because we learned. We will survive this one for the same reason. Observation, calculation, and teamwork will guide us." Zira inclined her head. She had already learned to trust his judgment, though she remained cautious. "Very well. Execute your plan." The Alliance moved into position. The human-alien fleet spread across the asteroid field, each ship taking up precise positions as instructed by Eli. The drones, relentless and unyielding, approached with a low hum that resonated through the void. Their numbers were vast, far exceeding what Zira had faced before. Yet she watched the humans' confidence, noting the calm determination in every movement. "Observe the patterns," Eli instructed his crew. and act before the drones can respond. Timing and precision will be everything. The battle began without a single blast of weapons. The drones advanced, yet the fleet moved as a single organism. Each alien ship, following Eli's guidance, drew the drones into traps designed to isolate small groups. Meanwhile, the Resolute darted through openings, analyzing weaknesses and redirecting smaller threats away from the fleet and the planet below. Zyra felt a sense of awe as she watched the human at work. One human, tiny against the vast swarm, guided her entire fleet with intelligence, foresight, and courage. She could see the proof that humans were not defined by size or strength. They were defined by their mind. Creativity and resolve. The drones struck, targeting the largest alien vessels first, but Eli anticipated their moves. Using a combination of gravitational manipulation and decoy drones, he diverted the majority of the swarm into zones where the fleet could safely neutralize them. Excellent, Zyra said quietly, almost in disbelief. The human predicts their every move and adapts faster than I could imagine. The battle intensified. Some of the alien ships were pushed to the brink, but Eli's instructions allowed them to evade critical damage. Mara called out from the Resolute's command station. Captain, more drones approaching from the lower quadrant. They are faster than before. Eli nodded calmly. Then we changed tactics. Use the asteroid field to your advantage. Lead them into the narrow passages. Their size and rigidity will be their weakness. Zyra followed the instructions herself, maneuvering her ships with precision. The alien fleet, under human guidance, moved in perfect coordination. The drones, numerous but inflexible, began to falter. Each obstacle created by the asteroid field slowed them, allowed the fleet to isolate small groups and neutralize them systematically. Hours passed, but the flow of battle never broke the human-led alliance. Eli's calm voice echoed across communication channels, giving commands, adapting strategies, and predicting movements with extraordinary foresight. Zyra watched him, her respect growing with each decision, each maneuver, each calculated risk. This human, she muttered quietly, is not merely surviving, he is orchestrating victory. The final phase of Eli's strategy involved a bold maneuver, using a combination of the Resolute's small size and agility with the fleet's overwhelming strength. He guided a concentrated attack on the drone's central formation. Zyra watched, her breath caught as the human's plan unfolded flawlessly. The drones attempted to adjust, but Eli's anticipation was perfect. The central swarm was funneled into a containment field created by the alien ships unable to break free. The fleet struck with precision, neutralizing the remaining drones while avoiding collateral damage to the planet below. Zyra felt a rush of pride, not in herself, but in humanity. She realized that strength alone did not win battles. Intelligence, courage, and ingenuity could achieve what sheer force could not, and one human had demonstrated that more clearly than any force in the galaxy. The drones were finally silenced, their mechanical bodies floating silently through space. The asteroid field returned to calm, and the fleet breathed a collective sigh of relief. Lumaris, safe once more, glowed peacefully below. Captain Mercer, Zyra said, her voice steady but warm. You have done what I never thought possible. One human has guided an entire fleet to victory. You have proven that humanity is extraordinary. Eli nodded modestly. It was a combined effort, Commander. The fleet's strength, combined with our strategy, made this possible. Humans do not achieve greatness alone. We learn, adapt, and collaborate. That is how we survive, and how we triumph. Zyra's tail curled around the base of her chair thoughtfully. I see now that the legends were true in more ways than I could imagine. Humans are warriors, not in the way we thought, but in a way that surpasses expectation. Courage, intelligence, and creativity. These are the weapons of your kind. Her officers watched silently, inspired by the recognition from their commander. Even seasoned alien captains felt the truth of Zyra's words. Humans were remarkable. Eli's crew shared quiet smiles. They had acted with courage, intelligence, and calm determination. They had followed orders and improvised when needed. They had survived impossible odds and helped forge an unprecedented alliance. Yet for them, the greatest reward was simple: the knowledge that they had risen to the challenge and saved countless lives. Zyra leaned back in her chair, staring at the stars stretching endlessly before her. The galaxy had always been unpredictable, full of unknowns and dangers. Yet this human, this small and underestimated species, had taught her a lesson she would never forget. The smallest spark of courage and intelligence could ignite hope, even in the darkest void. "Perhaps it is time," she said softly, "to honor those we once underestimated. Humans. They have earned their place among the stars." Eli, unaware of the full depth of her admiration, continued to guide his ship carefully, ensuring no remnants of the drone threat remained. Yet he could sense a subtle shift in Zira's perception, a respect born from witnessing brilliance, courage and ingenuity firsthand. The fleets gathered near the planet, conducting repairs and recalibrating systems. Lumeris, now safe from immediate danger, shone like a gem against the dark expanse. Zira walked to the observation deck, watching the human ship with quiet awe. One small vessel guided by one human had changed everything. "This is only the beginning," she thought quietly. "If humans can achieve this alone, imagine what they could do united with others. Imagine what the galaxy might become if we learn from them instead of underestimating them." The Resolute hovered silently near the fleet, its crew calm, disciplined, and ready for whatever came next. They had faced overwhelming odds, relied on intelligence and courage, and emerged victorious. And while they sought no glory, they had demonstrated something far greater, the true potential of humanity. Zira's eyes reflected the stars, a rare smile on her lips. She had laughed at the idea of human warriors once. Now she understood. Humans were extraordinary, not because they were the strongest, but because they rose to meet challenges with courage, intelligence, and creativity. One human had emerged from the dark and changed the galaxy's perception forever. As the fleet rested and the planet below thrived in peace, Zira knew the truth would endure. Humans once underestimated would never be seen the same way again. One day the galaxy would remember their courage, their ingenuity, and their ability to shine brightly, even in the darkest void. And somewhere aboard the Resolute, Captain Eli Mercer guided his ship onward, unaware that his actions had already inspired one of the galaxy's greatest commanders, forged an unprecedented alliance, and proven a truth that would resonate for generations. Humans could rise to any challenge, adapt to the impossible, and illuminate the darkness with brilliance and courage. The stars stretched endlessly around them, silent witnesses to the extraordinary emergence of a human warrior. And in the vastness of space, hope had found a new champion,